8th grade, here we are for the very last lesson in your book. Lesson 14 is a self-check, and it's going to double as a test review for us today. And this gets the honor of being the very, probably at least, last video that I'm going to make for you. So hopefully next time we interact, it's person to person. That's in 9th grade, by the way. So welcome back to school next year for 9th grade. Lord willing, I'm going to be doing English again, and so hope to see you there. Let's do this self-check. And this is your last chance to make a really good grade in 8th grade in your grade school experience. So let's make the best of it. Lesson 14, page 42, part 1. Underline the subject, circle the correct verb. This goes back to that infinitive, forget that, indefinite pronoun situation. So look at that list carefully, and you're choosing indefinite pronouns here as the subjects. Make sure you match them with the right verb. You're going to have some of that on your test as well. Part 2, numbers 5 and 6. Active or passive. What do we mean? Active. The doer of the action is subject. We could have written that the other way around. So the doer of the action is subject. So only action verbs are in consideration here. But active voice, you have the doer as the subject, then the action. In passive, you have the receiver as the subject. So again, you have an action verb, someone's receiving the action, and that is the subject. That's passive voice. The doer of the action is usually going to be a prepositional phrase, or you may not know who the doer is. So that's active and passive voice. And you have 3 of those. Now you're supposed to rewrite the sentences in number 8 and 9. If it is active, make it passive. If it is passive, make it active. And I'm not going to review that because you did so well on quiz 1, and I think you understand that quite well. 10, 11, and 12. Underlining predicate nominatives, direct objects, and indirect objects. And I'm just going to go back to the self-check because I've written down where all of this stuff is, and you can write it down if you want to. Okay? About 5 or 6 down, it says, do you know how to identify predicate nominatives, direct objects, and indirect objects? And that's on lesson 3. So if you need review on that, go back to lesson 3. Pardon me, I need to get my water cup. Okay. Now, where are we? So, yeah, let's do number 10 together. Both to and from the city well, the village women carry the water pots on top of their heads. Look for the verb. Women carry. Is women subject, carry verb. You ask yourself, what is being carried? Pots. So you have a direct object there. When you have a direct object, you may have an indirect object, but I don't see one. So the direct object is what is receiving the action behind the verb. The indirect object is to whom or for whom it's being done. And you do have an indirect object in number 11, which means you have a direct object too. Okay, 13 and 14. Identify the phrase and clause as either predicate nominative or direct object. Folks, that isn't very hard. Direct objects, or pardon me, predicate nominatives have to follow a, linking verb. Direct objects have to follow a, action verb. Okay, you can do that. Capitalization, you have a lesson on that, so review that. And 1/4 point each. Notice, and they do that counting method exactly the same on the test. So 1/4 point each, and there are 10 points, it says here. you say 10 times 4, you should find 40 circles, 40 words to capitalize. And the test says the same thing, except maybe it says 6 points. It's maybe 24. I forget exactly, but it's the same idea, 1/4 point. So you need to take the number of points times 4 to figure out exactly how many there are. Isn't that nice of them to do that? Numbers 21 and 22. Underline the participle phrases. Draw an arrow from each to the word it modifies. Now remember those participles? Verbs being used as adjectives. Often ending in ed. Sometimes ing, sometimes t, and so on, but often with ed. Number 22, notice you have 2 participles. Make sure you get that. So 21 has 1 participle phrase, and you want to underline the whole phrase, so it's the participle and the words that come after it that are part of it, and then draw the arrow. And by the way, make sure on your test you read all your directions carefully. It's so hard for me to take my red pen and mark those arrows that you forgot to draw. Because for most of you, you could have gotten it. You just didn't see it that you had to do it. So please read your direction carefully and do every part of the part. Those are just answers you're just throwing away when you forget to draw the arrow or underline or circle or whatever it is. Okay, 23 to 26, circle the correct pronoun. So here we go with, this is the lesson on pronouns needing to match their antecedent, the word they stand for in number and gender. So they need to be the correct number, correct gender, correct this. Number means singular or plural, gender, of course, masculine, feminine, neuter. So look back on that lesson to get this. Rebecca and Dawn brought her cousin or their cousin. Okay, so you have 2 of them, that's going to make it plural. Their cousin is the one you should choose. But so you need to study that. Remember, it needs to match the words they're replacing in both number, singular or plural, and gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter. And there are a whole bunch of rules that went with that. Not a whole bunch, but a few. 27 through 29, page 44. Underline the infinitive phrase used as adverbs. Draw an arrow from each to the word it modifies. Let's do number 27 together. Number 27. The students walk to the podium to receive their awards and diplomas. Now, these can be tricky. Not tricky for 8th graders who are so good at it, but they might trick lesser skilled people because we know that an infinitive is the word to plus a verb. And we also know that's an infinitive. Okay, yes, infinitive to plus a verb. We also know that to plus a noun is a prepositional phrase. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Because what you have in number 27 is sure enough that very idea, that very thing. The students walked where? To the podium. Ah, infinitive. No. To podium? Did you ever podium something? No. Podium isn't a verb. It's a noun. It's as noun as it can get. So that isn't an infinitive. That's a prepositional phrase. Notice that. To receive. Whoop. Yeah. That's an infinitive. You can receive things. It's verbs. So to receive their awards and diplomas, that's what you should underline. And where's the arrow go? The students walked to the podium. Yes, that tells where. And they walked, why? To receive their awards and diplomas. Yes, it needs to go back to the word walked. So make sure you draw that arrow. Okay, 30 to 33, transitive and intransitive. Once again, just like in active and passive voice, we're talking about action verbs. Are they transitive or are they intransitive? What's the rule? Somebody help us? Yes. If it were in class, I would see hands all over, I think. And sure enough, what it is, transitive simply means it transfers its action to another word. Now, naturally, we think of direct object as the word that action is being transferred to, but remember, it can be transferred to the subject. So here's the simple key. Look at the verb, ask yourself, is there any word in the sentence that this is being done to? Whether it be the subject or the direct object. If the answer is yes, then you have transitive. If the answer is no, it's intransitive. That's simple. Okay, let's look at 30. Gustavo. See, Gustavo. What is that? Is that French, is it? Swedish. I think it's Swedish. I'm not sure. I think Swedish though. Gustavo travels from village to village throughout the week. Okay, so Gustavo is the doer. So he's not getting the action, and he travels. So is there anything being traveled here? Well, I don't see anything. So I think I would call that intransitive. Now, I didn't look at the answer key. Hopefully I'm telling you right. Yes, I think that would be intransitive. Okay, so many of the immigrants to Sudan died from malaria. So verb died. Now, is there anyone who died? Yeah, immigrants died. So, yes, that would be transitive. The immigrants are the ones who died. I'm just going to check the answer key to double check that I'm giving you that answer right. If I can find it here. I'm wrong. I thought that felt fuzzy. No, I mean, so there's no, they didn't die themselves. So, yeah, no, that's intransitive as well. And you're supposed to underline the verb there, by the way. Yeah, I didn't think that sounded right. So sorry about that, students. Yeah, it needs to be more clearly that someone is getting this done to them. So there's nobody that got the died done to them. They didn't die somebody. Okay, they were just the ones who died. All right? Okay, so chimney sweep, propped is ladder. So now we're on solid ground here. Well, maybe not work a ladder, but propped, and then what is it that's being propped? A ladder. Yep. Okay, so that is B2. All right, 34 to 37, we're going to bracket the noun clauses. Remember, a clause is subject verb, and it's going to do a noun function. Okay, quinine is what is given to persons with malaria. Quinine is the name of a drug, I think. Quinine is, you need a predicate nominative, which is noun, and it's the whole clause. What is given to persons with malaria? So that's the part you would bracket, and in this case it's a predicate nominative. Yes, okay, number 38, underline the definition of a compound complex sentence. I'm not going to give you that answer. You can do that. Circle the letter, number 39, of the compound complex sentence. So you have a choice, A, B, C. You choose which of one of those is a compound complex sentence. You did a lesson on that, so you can go back and study it. All right, just need your attention now for numbers 40 to 42. This is the conjunction review, so go back and check that lesson out on the conjunctions. And basically what we need to know is how to identify conjunctions. So the person's reply to the clerk was neither kind nor fair, so you see neither nor there. And you need to underline both of them. They work together as a conjunction. And then the correct way to do that on number 42, the assignment is either write a story or a poem. So there's basically kind of two rules that we need to know, and you can go review this. But the either or, neither nor, both ands, those kinds of conjunctions, they need to come right before the two parts they're combining. You can't have them scattered all over the sentence. So they need to be placed right before the words, phrases, or clauses you're combining. And then that leads us to the second part. The parts they do combine need to be parallel. So you can't join with neither nor, so on, with and this works for and, but, and or as well. You can't join words to phrases or words to clauses, or phrases to clauses. It needs to be words with words, phrases with phrases, and clauses with clauses. The parts need to be parallel. So what can happen, and you're going to have this on the test, you actually may need to drop words out. So you're going to run into one of these on the test, and that's the case with it. You're going to have to just let some stuff out to make your parts parallel. The assignment, this is number 42 now, is to either write a story or a poem. And you should, of course, say the assignment is to write either a story or a poem. And then you would get a 5. Okay, you have diagrams. You work over those, sweat over those, and then check them to see if you got them right. Here's a clue. Participles. We talked about what participles are. You will find a participle in each one of these 3. 43, 44, 45. They each have one participle in each one. Now, listen very, very carefully. I have one more thing to tell you. And that is one more thing about the test. And then I have a really exciting thing to tell you, an opportunity. So hang on to that too. On the diagrams on the test, now listen carefully. On the diagrams on the test, one diagram has a participle. Only one. That is, I looked correctly, and I did them, so hopefully I am right there. But yeah, only one diagram will have a participle. Now, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, yes, I wanted to give you this clue for your test as well. So grab your pencil, and here's a free clue. Remember, on one of the last lessons, we have the 3 ways infinitives are used: adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. Yeah, so nouns, adjectives, adverb. And they did a real trick on you. They had it all mixed up. So on the test, you're going to have 3 sentences, and they're going to say, is this infinitive you're supposed to put down? Is it a noun, an adjective, or an adverb? And yes, on the test, it is one of each. So don't fret about 2 nouns, 1 adjective. No, one of each on the test. Okay, I think that will cover that. Now, one more exciting opportunity for you to kind of go out with a bang, if you please. And that is found, you know what's coming, I bet. I can't find it. Yeah, page 46. So, on page 46, you have this big diagram. And it says optional activity, diagram this sentence. And they have put up there just for fun. Well, I'm going to add just a little more to the fun. So, do you think diagramming is hard? Some of you are going, yeah. Some of you are going, yeah, it's not too bad. After this diagram, you may decide that you don't have it so bad after all. Or maybe you think diagramming is fun, and a few of you are saying, yeah, it is. It's kind of fun. What? Try something even more fun and see if you can diagram this one. And I did it, by the way. I did it all. And so you can do it too. Some of you are really good at this. Now here's the deal that we're going to make. I'm going to have to trust you. So do this diagram as carefully as you can without looking at the answer key. When you're all done, you check it and circle the ones that you get wrong. And then when you hand in your books, which will come in with your test, you, any one of you who get this all right, now listen carefully, if you get it all right, no mistakes, I'm going to add 5% to your test grade. So yes, that means if you get 100%, you'll get a 105. Now, I know that's impossible mathematically. You can't get more right than there are. But, hey, you can break the rules sometimes. So anyway, you'll get 5%. And then I'll simply go for each mistake, each word mistake, 1 point less than that down to 5. If you miss more than 5, then you won't get any extra credit. But if you get, 4 mistakes, you'll still get 1% extra credit. So if you get them all, and here's the challenge, try to get them all. And it is possible, so work your way down through there very carefully. They have some interesting little quirks, but it's all stuff that you've learned in 8th grade. Nothing that you haven't worked on and done in 8th grade. So very, very doable for you. Okay? So when you get this done, you feel ready for the test, you can take your test. So I'm going to have this video up probably Thursday or Friday of this week, and as far as I'm concerned, you can do your test as soon as you feel ready. If you want to wait to do it until next Tuesday, that's fine too. And so whenever you get it done and then you come to school over the weekend, you bring your test, bring your language arts book, 810, and the answer key. Remember, I need to have those answer keys back because that's our agreement with Christian Light, that we destroy those answer keys. So they don't want any of them floating around anywhere. So let's honor that and be respectful to them and appreciative that they let us make these copies. In a sense, we're violating the copyright law, but we're not because they give us permission to do it. But they say the deal is you get them all back and destroy them. So please do that. Bring your 810 book back, hand in your test, and hand in those answer keys. And then hopefully we're going to be able to calculate your grades and you're going to be able to pass. Language arts, book grade 8, and you're ready for the next grade. You're ready for life. We'll see. All right, this has been a joy to teach all of you. So God bless you. Work hard on that and pray before you take the test. Do your best, and God will help you.